Is mixing in the box a red flag? So it's your guy Brahma Guru, and in this video, we're gonna discuss this. Do you need outboard gear as a music producer or an engineer to have great mixes? So shout outs to Major Prilla in the Ape Army who brought this post up. I'm actually gonna bring you behind the scenes with me into the Ape Army and show you this post. So he posted mixing 100% in the box a red flag, and so he shouted out Homegrown Click, which is another Major. Shout outs to Major, salute. Homegrown Click, aka Poison. What do you think of this as a certified engineer? Brahma Guru, your thoughts would be appreciated too. So he referenced a video, which I'm not gonna play because I don't know how this YouTube thing works, using other people's material, but it's basically an engineer showing all of his outboard gear, saying like, you need this outboard gear in order to get great mixes. Like if you're mixing in the box 100%, that's a red flag, right? So I'm going to show you what Homegrown Click says. Homegrown is a certified engineer. He went to school for engineering. He also worked for the Slate company that produces the Raven consoles, which I have one. He's also responsible for building these Raven consoles from scratch at one point. When they first began, he was in there, you know, working on them by hand. So salutes to the Major Poison. So check this out. Here's his response inside the Ape Army. He says, in this case, not always true, because I heard some pretty good songs that were all done inside the box. To me, I think it all has to do with the engineer. If you have an engineer who knows what he's doing, then you're in good hands like Allstate. And I highly subscribe to that. I do agree with that. It's all about the ears and not the gear. The gear comes secondary. If you got great ears and you're working on just minimal equipment, you could make a mix. You could make a mix sound greater than someone who's in a major studio with all the equipment, millions of dollars of outboard gear in the world, and they can't make a mix as good as that engineer who has a greater ear. The ear is superior to the gear. So there's some other comments in here too that I wanted to share with you, because this type of subject is very important. And I think as producers, naturally we become engineers when we want to make our music sound sonically correct. So I did say I agree with this 100%. It's about the ear, not the gear. Although if you have some outboard gear, you're definitely going to get a warmer sound. I notice a huge difference from my Focusrite interface to my SSL mixer, which is true. But 9 times out of 10 in this digital age, you know, you have listeners that are listening differently now. They're listening in earbuds and from their phones, so that warmer sound isn't always going to translate the way that it did back in the day when we were still listening to tapes, CDs, and even records. So, you know, it's really about the ear beyond the gear. I still use my outboard gear just because I come from that era, but I'm not going to say, oh, you need to have this. If not, then your mixes are going to suck, because it's not really about that. Before I even had this gear, I feel that I was doing clean mixes because I know what I'm doing when it comes to tweaking stuff, or I know how I want it to sound. I'd rather say that, because it's really it goes back to the ear thing. You could not have went to school, or you could not have learned any engineering classes, but if you know how you want something to sound because your ear is trained on certain records, let's say you listen to Dr. Dre and you listen to that sonically, you know, aware, and you're studying it, and you're a student of the game, and you're listening consciously, then you're going to be training your ears so that no matter what gear that you're on, you're going to be able to mix the way that you want to mix, regardless if you know how the tools should be or not. But if you do go to school, you're going to learn exactly what these tools do. You're going to know the techniques and tactics to get to that sound that you hear in your ear. So having the best of both worlds is actually a great thing, but you could come from either way, and it's still going to depend on where your ear is at. Shout outs to Lieutenant Micah Green for making this comment as well. Here's my advice. Learn how to engineer yourself. Picture this. Would you buy a Rolls Royce, and that's my favorite car, or would you buy a Tesla? Everybody's going to have a preference, but both cars will go from A to B with no issues. It's just one car is more expensive, but you have the same driver. My point is, it's not the equipment, but the engineer is going to the same place. Feel me? So he's saying the same thing in essence. It's really about the engineer, right? So, and that's what it's about. The engineer's ears. What are they able to do with what they have to work with? How good are their ears trained to be able to bring this music to life sonically the way it's supposed to sound? Shout outs to Major Blunt Harmony for his contribution to this discussion too. The way I see it, teach yourself how to mix and master. Take the time to invest in yourself. A one-stop shop. Plus, you learn so much the more you train your ear and do it instead of passing it on to someone else. It will become second nature. I just think as a producer, you need to know a bit of everything so that there's no surprises. I highly subscribe to that as well, because I used to pass myself off to an engineer, especially my own music, because I didn't feel comfortable or confident enough in mixing my own voice. Even some of my own beats, I would do pre-mixes of my beats. I was better with that than trying to do my vocals. And it took me to finally understand, like, yo, bro, you're gonna have to sit down and really just trust yourself and learn this. If you could do it with your beats, then you could do it with your vocals. And then I slowly started to get more comfortable the more I worked at it. And like you said, there's no surprises. So as long as my ear is trained and I know how I wanted to hear, how I wanted to sound, I could hear it in my head already. When I give it to an engineer, I'll know whether, he did what I needed him to do or not, just based on how it sounds. So yeah, it is best to level up and progress naturally from a producer to an engineer to know what you're doing, and you also become a one-stop shop for an artist. So you not only are you able to create a whole project from scratch, from the beats to the mixing and even mastering if you take that on as well, but you'll also be able to add that to your portfolio and to your services so you can make more money as a music producer, because now you're an engineer, you are a one-stop shop. Prilla did say, I don't even bother mixing, to be honest. It's a great skill to have and it could be a side hustle, but if you're selling beats online or trying to get non-Grammy artist placements, a decent foundation in mixing is enough. EQ, leveling, and keeping the frequencies balanced really is all you need today. And that is true. Like, especially when you're just selling beats, if you're not recording artist, or you don't have a studio and you're not even worried about mixing nothing, you're just working with beats, then that's fine. Just do what you can to make it sound great enough to translate to the artist, because when the artist does a song, he's going to get it mixed anyway. So your beat doesn't have to be 100% mixed and mastered, especially mastered, because you're squashing the signal if you master it before you give it to the artist. I used to think that, yeah, okay, I'm gonna master it because I want it to sound big as possible before the artist gets it. But these days I don't do that, and I'd rather it be sonically the best that I can get it to translate to the artist so that they could feel it and let them handle the mastering aspect of it. But I just wanted to bring you inside the Ape Army and make you a part of this discussion, because it's very important. And like I said, shout outs to Major Prilla for bringing this up, because we don't talk about this enough. The community is divided between those who are like DAW based and those who are just straight up outboard gear. My thing is, I like to have a hybrid setup. I just walked into a hybrid setup. I just started building my hybrid setup because I wanted to get some of that analog vibe, that warmth back into my sound. But do you need it? Not necessarily, especially in today's music. Is it great to have? It is a bonus, and you do add some extra edge to your music. So, but the average listener, let's be honest, it's not necessarily listening to that. But they do know how it feels. They'll notice the difference in feeling before they notice it in their ears, in their hearing. Okay, so just something to take away. But you're winning regardless. If you mix just in a DAW, do it. Don't worry about any outboard gear. If you can grab some outboard gear, grab some outboard gear. It will help, but like I said, man, it's really just about the ear at the end of the day. Shout outs to Lieutenant LBB also for dropping some gems inside the discussion. This is one of our OGs in the Ape Army. He's been around the music scene since the 80s, so he's seen a lot happen, and he knows what he's talking about. If you're going to invest in an engineer, just make sure you check out their previous work. A lot of people out here calling themselves engineers, but their mixes sound like ass water. That's true. If I did get an engineer, I would use someone like Robert Rebeck. He's got the best mixes I've heard in my area. He used to mix a lot of Tech Nine's earlier catalog. Bottom line, you have to show me some product nowadays so I can check you out. Now, addressing the hardware issue, I've seen guys with $50,000 setups, all hardware, and their mixes sounded like a kindergartner did it. I had a 4-track cassette recorder, and my mixes on that little $500 unit sounded better than any of these guys with these gigantic setups. That is true. I've seen it happen before too. I've been in the lab with cats who, like I said earlier, millions of dollars worth of gear damn near, and their music still didn't sound as good. And they didn't know what they were doing. They thought just because they had all this gear that they could, their mixes or their music was automatically just going to be better. But it's not. It takes the ears to really, really make that mix pop and sound great. That's what it takes. And that's it for today's video. I just wanted to share this with you. If you're not part of the Ape Army, you definitely want to join the Ape Army. This is a private producer community, and we're here helping each other level up. Iron sharpens iron. We have discussions like this all the time. So that's what it is, man. I'm gonna leave the link down here so you can sign up right now. It's only also check out the video I did yesterday where I show you a song I did 22 years ago in my first studio. I tell you the story behind it and the equipment I used to make the beat and record the song. I also tell you about how we developed that studio when I was 18 years old. Check it out.